Get cool stuff for what you were going to do anyway. Drink beer. With Buy Beer, Get Gear from Labatt, you can just snap a photo of your receipt and upload it to the website to rack up points for exclusive merch. Get points for every purchase, whether you're grabbing a pint on draft, a case for a party, or a tall boy at the stadium. Any size, any product, anywhere you buy Labatt. Buy beer, get gear. Sign up now at rewards.labattusa.com.
Watch your favorite ESPN Syracuse sports talk shows on CuseSportsTalk.com. This is the Burdick Ford, Burdick Toyota, Burdick Lexus, and Burdick BMW postgame show with Giovanni Heater.
Syracuse rolls into Death Valley and for the first time in program history comes away with a massive win over the Clemson Tigers. 34-21, the final score. Syracuse takes down Clemson, and we're here to break it all down for you. Right here, it's on Cuse Sports Talk and ESPN Syracuse. Thanks so much for hanging out with us on your Saturday afternoon. Lightning delay. Super long but super awesome football game, and Syracuse is able to come away with what really feels like a program-shifting victory. This is the first time that Syracuse has ever gone on the road and taken down Clemson. There have been a lot of epic clashes that we talked about in the pregame and we've talked about all week between the Orange and the Tigers, two of which in particular happened down in Death Valley. In 2018, Syracuse went down there as a 4-0 crew. It was a game that Syracuse led by as many as 10 points in the fourth quarter, cough up the lead late, a heartbreaker at the hands of the Tigers. You flash forward to 2022. Syracuse rolls in as the 14th ranked team in the country. They lead 21-10 going into the fourth quarter. And another Clemson heartbreak of the Orange, where the Tigers roar all the way back. They take a late lead. They fend off Syracuse, and they take down the Orange in 2022. And I said going into this thing that this one felt different. And the reason it felt different, and forget that Clemson was 1-2. This was still a preseason top 5 team, a team that was on paper in the conversation for the national championship. I said going into it, it felt different because of the man that's running the show, and that's Fran Brown. This was a complete gutsy culture win. They came out with their hair on fire, feeling like they had something to prove in this game, and the Orange went down there, delivered, were the better team for 4 complete quarters of football. I'm impressed. I'm impressed with Syracuse. A lot to unpack here. It's the Burdick Toyota, Burdick Lexus, Burdick BMW, Burdick Ford post-game show. It's presented to you all season long by Point Guard Advisors and Charles Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electrical. Give us a ring. Call in. Talk about the game with us. 315-437-7644 is the number. One more time. 315-437-7644. The Massage Envy hotline. You can find them located in Fayetteville and Clay. And we are just so amped because Syracuse went down there and won a huge game against Clemson, a prove-it type of game for the Orange that really puts Syracuse in a spot where you have to look at them with a lot more respect now. And you have to look at them as a serious competitor week in and week out in the ACC. I'm not saying they're in the same conversation in the same breath with Miami, Florida State, and Georgia Tech, but they're going to play 2 of those 3 teams. And we're going to find out exactly where Syracuse stacks up because the team across from them today was 3 things. Incredibly talented on paper. Returned the most production of anybody else in the entire country. The second thing that they were was completely hungry, and they had to be. Their backs were firmly against the wall. They're playing for their coach. This was a make-or-break game for Clemson, as not just for a season, but what felt like for a program. Feels like the sky is falling for this program down in Death Valley and everything stirring around Dabo Swinney and his conflicts with the media throughout the week. They had to have this if you're the Clemson Tigers. And then you played a team as well that you could argue on paper should have been more physically capable and deeper than you. So between the necessity to win, the talent returning on paper, and across the board, their ultimate depth and capability and recruiting. Syracuse goes down and beats that team on the road and fights through the adversity of a weather delay and punched them in the mouth out of the gate. And this is impressive. This is an impressive win for Syracuse. A lot to unpack here. Final score one more time, 34-21. Give us a ring, 315-437-7644. Chat about the game with us. Let's break down some of the numbers here. Steve Angeli. That's the one down spot here, folks. He goes out with an injury. It felt like he completely had the wind shot out of his tire, like blew a tire on a scramble as he was taking off upfield. You don't want to speculate. It appeared to be lower body. He got hurt early in the game with a lower body injury, came out after the weather delay for the second half with a brace on his knee, his left knee, same leg. How I almost felt about it is if, like, you know, when you tweak something, they say that you could be compensating for the pain by, you know, shifting your weight to different spots, and you run the risk of further injury in other spots of your body when you do that. And I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying things that I've learned over the years viewing a lot of football and reading about a lot of football. And I almost fear that that's what happened, because it didn't feel like he was going for his knee. It felt like it was lower, whether it was ankle or calf or Achilles, what have you. So he's got a boot. He did not play after he left the game. He was on crutches. He took off his uniform. Ricky Collins finished the game. But Angeli was dialed when he was in there. I mean, sniper, it felt like. Steve Angeli was precise. Syracuse's offense was in complete rhythm. He was accurate. The precision was through the roof. He went 18-31, 244 yards, 2 touchdowns, took care of the ball. Syracuse didn't turn it over, not once. Huge. They won the turnover battle. We knew that was going to be key coming into this game, and Angeli looked every bit of the part. I loved how balanced the run pass was, particularly in the first half when Syracuse was able to create this huge lead. You look at what Syracuse was able to do in the run pass split. 278 yards through the air, but 155 on the ground. And in the first half, it was closer to like 150 through the air and like 110 on the ground. So they didn't run the ball as much and as effectively in the second half, but that's because Ricky comes in. Clemson's able to key in on, okay, we got to stop the run, force him to throw. There's a lot of things that go into that algorithm. But Syracuse was really successful toting the rock. You've Willis, 18 carries, 94 yards. Was averaging 8.6 yards a carry in the first half. Ended up averaging 5.2. You had Will Nixon in there, 10 carries, 46 yards, averaged 4.6 yards a carry. Like, you feel good about your ability to run the football and really have a nice split and have a balanced attack on offense. That was huge to see. First time we had really seen it. How about the Syracuse wide receiver room? Unbelievable what the Syracuse wide receiver room was able to do, making some incredible catches, helping their quarterbacks out. And I say quarterbacks because that final touchdown, Ricky Collins' touchdown pass, hits Justice Ross Simmons, and he's able to go down and make that nice catch. Ricky put it in a great spot where only he could go down and get it, but he's able to adjust, make the catch on that kind of back fade. Goes down and makes the play. So he was great. You obviously had the unbelievable catch from Justice Ross Simmons earlier in the game. Maybe another You Got Moss segment. And then Jonte Cook all over the field. Big playability, especially over the middle in that slot. Jonte Cook, 6 catches, 113 yards. Averaged 18.8 yards a reception. So huge play out of Jonte Cook. Syracuse comes away with a super impressive 34-21 win on the road in Death Valley. 315-437-7644 is the number. Give us a ring. We'll take a short break here, and our pregame coverage rolls on. We are live from Shaughnessy's Irish Pub at the Marriott downtown Syracuse. Plenty more to unpack. A huge win for the Cuse on the road in Death Valley over Clemson. You're listening to Cuse Sports Talk and ESPN Syracuse.
Point Guard Advisors and Burdick Ford are proud.
Sweet. How long was that segment? You think I went for like 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 10 minutes? Sweet. That's pretty good pace, no? Yeah. Yeah. No, let's run it. Give me something to react to. Yeah, good idea. No callers yet? I'm kind of surprised. People are going out now. Yeah. Yeah. No, it makes sense. Chat, how we feeling? Let's see. Bold coaching, team played with a lot of heart. Angeli injury, unfortunate. Yeah. Winners get washed, baby. We're getting washed. Gio, a lot of us over here in Brian. Woof. I mean, I don't know what to say. You guys make your choice with who you want to hang out with. I'm not going to be offended. But I think we run a pretty cool show over here. So, you know. I say encourage your friends to come hang out with us. That's what I'll say. Okay, let's go to the phone just because we have him, and then nice. Thank you. Okay, will do. Okay, sounds good. Sorry that.
This is the Burdick Ford, Burdick Toyota, Burdick Lexus, and Burdick BMW postgame show with Giovanni Heater.
Vibes are high on a Saturday afternoon as Syracuse goes down to Death Valley and takes down Clemson for the first time in program history. 34-21, the final score in Clemson, South Carolina. The Orange are rolling, humming on offense. The defense did its part as well. Syracuse comes away with a massive win, moves on to 3-1 on the season, and you got to feel really, really good about Syracuse the rest of the way. I know we have some question marks. Steve Angeli, he goes out. What's the offense going to look like? People are feeling concerned. I get that. We're going to address all that. Let's take a minute to enjoy, because it feels like Syracuse fans have been waiting for the Orange to take down Clemson for a long time. Let's appreciate the moment a little bit and just just enjoy it. Enjoy the vibes for sure. We're going right to the phone lines because we got callers waiting and ready to talk about this awesome game. Give us a ring. Hop in line, 315-437-7644. And we go to Carter in Virginia. Carter, how we doing, man? How about the win for the Cuse?
Oh, my gosh. What a win for the Syracuse Orange. Just a diehard Syracuse fan from birth. This was like a monumental day for me today. That was awesome. Awesome. Love to see the effort down in Death Valley. The franchise is back at it again.
The franchise. I love it. I love it. What was your biggest takeaway? How concerned are you about Steve Angeli, but also how impressed were you with Angeli's performance before he goes out?
Yeah, I was kind of flipping back and forth between a couple games, but yeah, big time performance by your boy Ricky Collins off the bench. I know there were some question marks about the quarterback position during the UConn game, and you feel for him because Angeli comes to Syracuse, and then you get him with an injury like that, and obviously you don't want to speculate, but to see him walk back to the locker room on crutches the way he did, you definitely feel for him. So definitely a somber feeling a little bit, but yeah, what a victory for the Orange. You love to see it.
What do you think this means for Clemson as that team falls to 1-3, and they're booing the team off the field throughout the game?
Yeah, it's insane. Here's the thing. Dabo is obviously very, very good at what he does. To see him start 1-3 down there is pretty insane to think about, considering that they were a potential national title contender going into the season, and to see them now 1-3, and they're essentially eliminated now from the college football playoff because there's not really a logistical route for them to get to the ACC title game, and I think they have bigger issues to worry about rather than that right now. So it's crazy to see kind of where they're at, especially with how quote unquote elite their coordinator should be with Garrett Riley on the USC side of things, and then Tom Allen. Obviously, they paid a pretty penny to get him down to Clemson from Penn State this past offseason. So, yeah, it's very interesting. I don't really know where that's going to go. I can't really see them firing somebody like Dabo. The buyout's close to $70 million. And obviously, you look at what he's done over the last 15 years. And he's one of their own, too. So, very interesting to see where that goes. But, yeah, they have a lot of issues down there for sure.
Yeah, no question about it. Big win for the Orange. Carter, really appreciate you checking in, my man. Enjoy the rest of your college football Saturday.
Yes, sir. Go Cuse. Bye.
All right, that's Carter in Virginia. Thank you for the call. Go ahead and give us a ring, 315-437-7644, as we continue to break down Syracuse's win over Clemson in Death Valley. And I'm being told we got a nice piece of audio, Fran Brown's opening statement from the press conference. We don't have the entire press conference, but we do have his opening statement, so I'd love to play that, react to it live with you guys. Let's go ahead and cue that up. Fran Brown, opening statement of his post-game press conference as Syracuse takes down Clemson in Death Valley for the first time in program history. Coach?
Coach, and then just open questions from there. Coach?
First off, I want to thank Syracuse University, our fans, alums, just everyone around that supports us, right? It means so much to come here and get a win, and I just feel that support all the time, so I'm so thankful for them. I want to thank us, Clemson, Coach Dabo, his staff, just the community here. We were welcome with open arms coming in. I think he's a heck of a football coach. He does an amazing job. He's a guy that made me feel comfortable being myself, right? Feel comfortable just being me, and I appreciate what he does. I appreciate how he coaches the game and what he's done in this game for years and years. And so it's a big thing for me to have an opportunity to come out here and compete against, Coach Sweeney, and for us to walk away with a win. I'm in awe still right now about being able to come out here at Clemson and do that. But hat goes off to him and his staff. First class, everything, first class. And Miss Sweeney, thanks for the thing that you said to my wife. They're just first class people.
That's awesome. That is Fran Brown after the big win over Clemson. And, it's interesting to hear him say that he's in awe, right? Because you can understand both sides of that. In one breath, you're like, how are you in awe? You've said so many times, this is the expectation, and you expect to be here. But at the same time, the unbelievable thing about Fran is he's still a first-time head coach in his second year. And look what he's doing. The come-from-behind wins last year at UNLV, against Virginia Tech, against Miami. Massive win, statement win. And then now here you are in year two with a team that looks very, very different, competing with teams on paper that should be better than you. But instead, you're competing at that level. You have similar depth now, and you go down there and win a game that Syracuse historically doesn't win. First of all, Syracuse doesn't win because they don't win at Death Valley, plain and simple. And second of all, Syracuse doesn't win because it feels like times in the past and this is not a shot at previous coaching staffs, this is just fact, these are games where Syracuse has found ways to cough it up. Clemson had a chance to bring that game back into serious competitive mode. They were down 13 points, and Syracuse bent, but it didn't break. It continued to keep its foot on the gas offensively, did enough offensively, but mostly the defense was making plays, was flying around. You had the fourth down interception, of course, by Kerr to really put the nail in the coffin. There were multiple times where it felt like Clemson had a chance to really make this thing a game, and Syracuse didn't let them. That's culture. That is the difference between what Fran has built and what the past has been, is the culture moments. UConn, culture moment. Miami last year in a 21-0 hole, culture moment. Virginia Tech down 21, I think, culture moment. UNLV gritting it out on the road, culture. Bouncing back. Like, in the past, you lose a game to Pittsburgh like last year where you get routed. In the past, Syracuse crumbles and then, like, don't win again for the rest of the year. No, culture moment. Moved on from it. It's different. It just feels different, and Fran Brown is the biggest reason as to why. How about the lower intestinal fortitude on this guy? To steal an extra possession at the beginning of the game and go in there and just punch Clemson right in the mouth by going with an onside kick after you score a touchdown. That was big time. That was something you do not see. That was next level stuff out of Fran Brown saying, we're going to go there and we are going to take it to you. And Fran went in there and did that. You score a touchdown, awesome opening drive. Steve looked surgical. Unreal catch. Another You Got Moss. This time it was Justice Ross Simmons going up, climbing the ladder, high pointing the football, taking it down, 2 feet in, plus an arm in the end zone. And then you go with the onside kick. You get the extra possession. Honestly, should have got a touchdown. Instead, they get the field goal, and it just felt like from there, Syracuse was like, this is our game. You're going to play at our pace. We're setting the tone from the get-go. They were flying all over the place. They were attacking the football. I mean, this is next-level stuff that we haven't seen out of Syracuse in really my lifetime. Mike, when he was sitting here, he got to see a lot of that back in the day. But in my lifetime, which I've been a fan, I guess, since 2003, right? You have not seen this level of competitive nature out of Syracuse football. So, really awesome stuff. Want to talk about Clemson a little bit. If you told me coming into this that this would be the split, one team's going to throw the ball 60 times for 363 yards and 3 touchdowns, and the other team was going to throw it 30 times for 244 yards and 2 touchdowns, I would have told you that Syracuse threw it for 60, Clemson threw it 30 times. Clemson probably was successful because that meant if they're throwing it 30 times, they're getting a good production out of the run game and things are vibing good, and they probably win the game. And Syracuse, they throw it 60 times because they're sticking to their guns on offense. The run game isn't working. We're going to throw it all over the place, and you're going to have to because you're playing from behind as well. I would have told you that was how that played out. If you just told me a blank stat sheet, here's this, what team did what? And instead it was Syracuse playing incredibly balanced, particularly in the first half. The run-pass split. Effective throwing the ball. Effective running the ball. And Clemson had to play comeback and throw it 60 times and try and throw it all over the field. Completely different. Syracuse is showing that they can win different kinds of games. If you got to get into a shootout and they got to throw it 60 times, okay, they can do that. I hope they can do that without Steve Angeli. I hope they can do that with Ricky Collins. You need to run the ball, we can do that too. We can play with a lead, take care of the clock, play good enough defense, take care of it on offense and not turn the ball over. You can play from behind, come back against UConn, show that kind of resilience, not panic, get back into the game, make big plays. Can make explosive plays with the short intermediate game as well. Like Syracuse is showing they can win in different ways in different kinds of games. It's going to bode incredibly well for the Orange as the season continues to go along. Give us a ring. 315-437-7644 is the number to call. We'll step aside and continue to break down Syracuse and Clemson when we return. The Orange win in Death Valley for the first time in program history. You're listening to Cuse Sports Talk and ESPN Syracuse.
Did you miss drive time with...
Sweet. No, that was good. I could hear it. It's all good. Yeah, no, I'm glad we had it. Gave me something to talk about, too. Javon's clip of him talking to Fran. That stinks. That really stinks. Can we say that? Can I go to air with that? Okay. Woof. Guess that. Okay. Okay. It looks like he will be out for a long time. Got it. Cool. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Thank you, Jordan. Elite journalistic pursuit right there. Yeah, anything you got, I'll play and react to anything. That's less that I have to, babble, if that makes sense. Just reacting to the chat here. That's a great point, Florida guy. Great point on the red shirt. Theo Cuse, glad you were able to get the game. Where'd you guys go to dinner? Where'd you guys end up going? Glad you were able to get the game, though. Just looking at the chat. Sorry, guys. Catching up a little bit. I'm excited to look at the rest of the sketch. Like, find me a game that Cuse isn't going to have a shot in now. I guess we need to see what it looks like without Ricky, though. Or without Steve. Oh, that puts such a sour note on everything. If you came out of this with Steve healthy, you're feeling like $1 trillion right now, right, Jordan? Someone said re-sign Fran before some school like UCLA starts poaching. Respectfully, Fran is not leaving Syracuse for UCLA. That athletic department is not in a great spot. He's in a much better place at Syracuse right now, especially because he's from the Northeast. West Coast and Northeast, very different places. UCLA football is the 200th most important thing in the city of Los Angeles. They do not care. That's why the Rose Bowl's empty.
Watch your favorite ESPN Syracuse sports talk shows on CuseSportsTalk.com. This is the Burdick Ford, Burdick Toyota, Burdick Lexus, and Burdick BMW postgame show with Giovanni Heater.
Having a good time after Syracuse takes down Clemson in Death Valley, 31-24. The final score, first win at Clemson in program history for the Orange, and who better to lead them to it than Fran Brown? A new era truly is in full effect for Syracuse football with him at the helm. 31-24 the final score. Phone lines are open. Give us a ring. 437-7644. There's it. 315-437-7644. I thought I had it memorized, and the one time I say I'm not going to look at it, that happens. So maybe I should just look at it. Syracuse with a nice win against Clemson. Want to talk about what this means going forward. And the big dialogue right now is the fact that Steve Angeli is out. And we don't know how long he's going to be out. But it doesn't look good. Crutches, boot. Looked like he had his tires shot out from underneath him as he was scrambling and just went down instantly and was grimacing, holding his lower leg. Matt Park on TK99 chatted with Fran Brown in the post-game interview after Syracuse's win over Clemson. And this is what Coach had to say on the matter.
Okay, guys, we're just outside the locker room. Coach Brown is with us after this big win at Clemson, 34-14. Coach, you won this game on Monday, Tuesday. Your attitude this week, I thought, above your usual comportment. You were ready for the fight, ready for the challenge. How'd you get it done?
We just played together. We love each other. It's just a part of us being together as a team, sticking in every day. Like, every day wasn't great, but we fought. We had some things that I done that everybody thought was crazy, but it ended up working out for us. And we just got a good team. I got a good staff, right? Jeff Nixon did an amazing job. Coach Robinson and Coach Rob Wright and the defensive staff, Coach Coyle, all those guys did an amazing job on defense. So it was just collective, right? It was a collective effort from the entire organization and really all our fans that travel here and the fans back home that are watching, that are praying and cheering for us.
What's the story behind the onside kick? How long were you thinking about that, and what did it take to get it done?
I just watched it earlier this week, and our staff, they went through it and they wanted to get it done. So Coach Brumfield felt as though that was the best thing to do, and he put that in and went through it. And I just said, if you feel it, go get it. We're going to get it after this. So it was a good job by Coach Brumfield seeing that and doing that, man. I'm proud of him.
So you get the 10-0 lead, but you got to fight to hold it on the whole time. What were the most important aspects of that, really, on either side of the ball?
Just to never break. We'll bend. We know there was a good football team. That quarterback was a Heisman candidate. They got 2 first-round draft picks on the line. They got a safety in Khalil Barnes, who's one of the best in the country. So they got players all over the field. This was never going to be an easy game. I always said that. This is going to be a 4-quarter football game. It's the ACC, right? That's what happens in ACC. All the games will be 4 quarters. Just the way of the nature of the business. Happy
with the team, the way they handled the long delay? Was that a pro or a con?
Yeah, it was a pro. It was a good friend of mine hit me and told me what I should do during that halftime, and that helped me a lot.
Yeah, an extended time. You care to share who it was, or?
Nah, we're going to keep it to myself.
Okay. All right, so then we got to touch on the Steve thing quickly, but the last part of it is just sort of the idea that this wasn't a fluke. You didn't trick them to win here on the road. Line of scrimmage, both sides, corners played great, right? I mean, you got to feel like this is a big confidence booster to this team. Yeah, we love each other. We play football. They're doing what we do in practice. They're starting to click. All right, this happens in football, unfortunately, but what can you tell us about Steve? That looked pretty serious. It seemed like he might be out for a little while, so we're ready to go with Ricky and Luke and Jakari. It's time for them to step up. All right, it's real football right now, 3-1. Coach heading back home to a sellout. Best of luck, okay? Appreciate that. That's Orange head coach Fran Brown with the Cuse winning here at Clemson for the first time in their 6th ever try as an ACC visitor. Guys, back to you.
That's Matt Park down with Fran Brown outside of the locker room after the Syracuse win over Clemson. And my biggest takeaway from that is the fact that Fran Brown said it looks like Steve could be out for a long time. Those are his exact words, direct quote, could be out for a long time. And he said it's Ricky time, basically. And, of course, they got Luke Carney and whatnot, but it's Ricky time. And I think the sample size has been so small for Ricky Collins. Last week in Colgate, it felt like, of course, he didn't look like Steve Angeli. But you're coming in middle of a game, large lead. The situation's different. This team is going to now mold around him, develop game plans around him, practice the entire week with the ones around him. And let's not forget, this guy is a former 4-star recruit that was recruited to play football at Louisiana State University. And when he came to Syracuse, it was a big deal. And he was named the starter. And then the opportunity came about for Steve after he goes in the portal to maybe be a part of this team as well. And Fran said, we're just going to do anything we can to make our football team as good as possible. If there's an opportunity on the table to bring more competition in, you need depth. And that proved today that you need depth. And Fran said, we're going to do it. We're going to make this team as good as it can possibly be. You bring in Steve. Their skill sets are different. Is Ricky as good and as talented throwing the ball as maybe Steve is? We don't know. I think the reason they went with Steve is because they felt like he gave them the best chance to win games, and he was closest to the Kyle McCord model, which Jeff Nixon has shown that that's incredibly productive. And the argument was, okay, they did it against UConn and Colgate and Tennessee. What does it look like against a real team? Well, they showed today that they can still do it against a real team, right? Clemson's a good defense. I don't care that they're 1-3. They showed that they can go on the road and spray the ball all over the field and look surgical doing it. But I think that Ricky still brings a lot to the table that you can get behind and get excited for. Different kind of skill set. Syracuse is going to have a quarterback that has escapability. Clemson did not generate a ton of pressure today, and they were showing it on the broadcast. Steve was so impressive getting the ball out quickly before Clemson even had a chance to apply pressure. Even when they were sending blitzes, Steve a lot of the time had his first or second look open. He was getting it out in about 2 to 2.5 seconds. A lot of 2.0, 2.2, 2.3. He was getting the ball out immediately. Ricky's going to give you a skill set where he's going to be able to move around a little bit more and create. You saw that out of Cade Klubnik, extending plays. Ricky's going to offer that. Mike McAllister talked about it, that he heard from some inside sources that were around spring ball. When Kyle McCord stuck around through the spring, remember there was a time where we thought maybe Kyle McCord was going to be a part of this football team. He moves on to the National Football League, doesn't even really go through with the appeal, withdraws it, that whole storyline. But he was around to help coach, essentially, in the spring. And there are sources saying that Kyle McCord was so impressed with some of the throws that Ricky was able to make. Can he do it consistently? We'll see. But I love the element that he's going to bring with his escapability and the dual threat capability that he has, because he's going to force you to defend him differently. If Syracuse can still see success running the ball like they did today with Yassine Willis and Will Nixon and the rest of that talented running back room, I still think you feel good about Ricky Collins. And I think it's a situation where the fan base has to find a way to look at it from a 1,000-foot view and get behind him, because he hasn't done anything to show that he's not capable. And Fran said he almost won the job. Steve just barely edged him out. How many times did Fran say it was, whether it was coach talk or not, but 51-49 Steve. Or actually he said 51-49 Ricky, because Ricky was the spring ball starter and all of that. So I think Ricky still brings a lot to the table that you can get excited about if you're a Syracuse fan. I think there's enough arm talent there. He was a highly touted recruit. And the other thing is, too, like, Steve didn't look like $1 trillion out of the bag. It wasn't this shiny toy like Kyle McCord that you just take out and immediately is through the roof. Unbelievable. Remember, at first we were calling for Steve in the UConn game and wanted to see Ricky. And then he started to get more comfortable and more confident, and things started to mesh, and the offense started to progress and blend together, and they got into a rhythm. Sometimes it takes a little bit, a couple weeks. It took about 2.5 weeks for Steve to fully get comfortable. The unfortunate thing is it looked like he was firing on all cylinders, right? Give Ricky some time here. Because if Ricky gets 2 weeks down the road and everything's comfortable and feeling good, the nice thing is you get a home game against Duke, and Duke doesn't look super strong right now. Not as good as we thought they were going to be. So he's got some time to get his feet under him. Not saying Duke's going to be an easy game, but it's a home game, and then you can go play SMU on the road. And SMU doesn't look terribly fantastic either. This schedule is lightening up compared to what we said in the preseason. Give him a couple weeks. Let him find his footing. Let the offense mold around him. Because at the end of the day, he's got weapons. He's got a heck of a running back to turn around and hand the football to. And he has got an embarrassment of riches at the wide receiver spot. Across the board to spray the ball to. All across the field. Some unbelievable catches throughout this season so far, and especially today by these Syracuse wide receivers. So lock in. Get behind Ricky Collins at quarterback. It's a long season ahead, and there's really no choice but to do that because it looks like, according to Fran Brown, Steve Angeli is going to be out for, and I quote, quite some time. We'll take a break. We'll continue to unpack this thing when we return. Syracuse takes down Clemson on the road at Memorial Stadium in Death Valley. 34-21, the final score. Give us a ring and chat on the other end of the break. 315-437-7644 is the number to call. You're listening to Cuse Sports Talk and ESPN Syracuse.
Did you miss drive time with...
Sweet. Jordan, my phone dies. That would be insane. That'd be insane if he's doing that. True. I'm pretty sure contractually they literally pay you to be there. I'm pretty sure you have to be there. Yeah, maybe he's willing to take the fine or the hit or whatever. Jordan, just so you know, really? Wow. Just a heads up, Jordan. My phone died, so I can't text you. So just if you need me to know anything. Yeah. I saw that. Yeah. No. Love it. Love it. Yeah, no, totally. I just meant, like, if for whatever reason you need to tell me anything, just let me know in my ear, because I won't be able to see it. Appreciate you, dog. Yeah, this is the last segment, really, so I got to do my my ad read here on Improving the Team, brought to you by Auburn Community Hospital. Honestly, I just talked myself into being behind Ricky. I feel better now. I just talked myself into it. Exactly what I wanted to accomplish for the fans, I just did to myself. Jeff Nixon's a good offensive coordinator. They're going to figure something out. Might not look the same as it was supposed to. Though. You know? Everybody's saying that Fran's going to leave. Guys, remember in his opening press conference he said, and I quote, "I grew up on welfare, baby. I'm good." That's exactly what he said. He said, "I'm from Camden. I grew up on welfare. I'm good." He said that. I mean, I know coaches have said things like that and coach speak and whatnot, but Fran does not take me as that kind of a guy. He just seems so authentic. Now, is Syracuse going to have to pay him accordingly? 1,000,000,000%, as they should, and he deserves every dime of it. But I don't think Fran's walking out that door because of money at all. I don't think he is. I agree with Stephen Fonte has a brilliant take on this topic, in my opinion. I think Fran likes it here. He wants to be here. His kids go to CBA now. Like it's. I think he wants to be here. I think this is his home now. I know that Doug Marrone said the same thing, but Doug Marrone is phony compared to Fran. Put that in a tweet and post it. I can't believe I just said that. Should show some respect. That man is the former head coach of the Buffalo Bills. No, but seriously, I just think Fran is so authentic. And it's not even against Doug Marrone. You know how many coaches have said things like that? That's not uncommon, but Fran just does not come across that way. I don't think that's the case, Mark. If he wants to win at some point, I mean, if he keeps on winning. My bad, I read it wrong. I thought you meant if he wants to win. I was going to say he's winning here. Look what A&M did with the buyout a few years ago. I just think Fran's different. We've been on the air since 10 a.m. And there's been some, first of all, Tim has been hanging out with us all day long. So shout out to Tim and Jordan and Paul behind the scenes.
ESPN 97.7 and 100.1. Watch live on CuseSportsTalk.com. This is the Burdick Ford, Burdick Toyota, Burdick Lexus, and Burdick BMW postgame show with Giovanni Heater.
One final segment breaking down Syracuse's win in Death Valley over Clemson. 34-21, the final score down in Clemson. The Orange take down the Tigers. Really one of the biggest wins of the Fran Brown era, and it feels like in some ways one of the biggest wins in program history. I know that sounds crazy because the Tigers are 1-3, but this feels like a turning of the tides type of a week. Steve Angeli goes out. Ricky Collins comes in. We're going to see what everything looks like around Ricky Collins. Just had a whole dialogue about how this fan base should get around Ricky Collins. I have so much faith in what Jeff Nixon as the offensive coordinator has been able to do. They're going to doctor up this offense and make it work. I think he's an incredibly talented offensive coordinator that's getting looks from the National Football League this past offseason and will continue to be in that conversation. They're going to find a way to generate offense and make this thing work because there's too much talent on the offensive side of the ball outside of the quarterback for them not to be able to prop him up for success. And he brings a very unique skill set to the table. It's Improving the Team, brought to you by Auburn Community Hospital. Auburn Community Hospital is providing improvements to their team. So you can apply today at auburncommunityhospital.org. So what does this team need to do to improve heading into next week at home in the Dome, a sellout against the Duke Blue Devils? Well, I would have told you coming into this thing, I thought they had to improve on the defensive side of the ball, and I thought they had to get after the quarterback. But they did that today. It didn't result in a ton of sacks because of Cade Klubnik's tremendous ability to escape pressure. They generated just 1 sack and 3 tackles for loss. But the defense showed up, and they made their presence felt, and they were flying and swarming to the ball, and they were making big hits, and they were all over the field. And they made things really difficult on Cade Klubnik. He continued to have to roll out and extend plays and try and create these magic plays. And to his credit, he did a nice job doing it. But this defense locked in. You surrendered 21 points in a road ACC game, and the offense excelled. That's a recipe for winning football. And I think if they were playing pretty much any other quarterback in the league, give or take a couple, maybe Thomas Castellanos or something like that, but they're not even on the schedule at Florida State, I think that you're getting after the quarterback. You did get home if it was anybody other than Cade Klubnik. Those plays aren't extended, and it results in more sacks, and it definitely plays a factor. Some key players that were huge. Devin Grant. 10 tackles, 8 solo tackles, 2 tackles for loss, a pass deflection. He was a beast. Raheem Long Jr., second on the team in tackles, felt like he was everywhere, had a sack, a TFL. Of course, he had that that play they called taunting where he smacked his helmet. I thought it was kind of ridiculous of a call just because celebrations like that happen after every play. I didn't think it was super egregious. It was a hard spot in the game to call that too, right? Because it was 3rd down inside the 5-yard line, and they call that. Conversation, debate for another day. Syracuse won by multiple possessions, so I guess we can't be too upset about it. But I thought Raheem Long played a really nice game, and Fran showed a ton of belief in the fact that he screamed at him after the play, then put him back in, and he continued to deliver throughout the day. Demetrius Samuel Jr., the kid's brilliant. 17 years old, he's really coming into his own. They picked on him against Tennessee, and he's just improved and improved week after week, and he made his presence felt. He was guarding in Bryant Wesco Jr. at times, in my opinion, one of the most talented wide receivers in the entire country. I get that Clemson's 1-3, but on paper, this is one of the most talented teams in the country. And Bryant Westcott Jr. proved that last week. He was the only reason, in a lot of ways, that Clemson was in that game against Georgia Tech. Gave him a chance to win it. He was huge against the Yellow Jackets for Clemson. And he was shut down by a 17-year-old. Not completely, but Demetrius Samuel Jr. made some really nice plays on him and was such a presence in the secondary for Syracuse. Chris Peel had a nice game in the secondary. I thought David Reese and Gary Bryant did a nice job getting after the quarterback and then just stuffing the run and being all over the place. Jamie Tremble and none other than Antoine Delorier. Antoine Delorier is a monster, and he's also 18 years old. It's super, super impressive. That's the best thing about this team is how young they are. One more note on Steve Angeli that I hadn't mentioned. He played in now 4 games. He can redshirt. If he's out for the year, he can redshirt. That's another year Syracuse could get him. So you could be looking at 2 more years of Steve Angeli after this. Food for thought. If things get rolling and you feel really good about what you have in the production of Ricky Collins and like you could get Steve back like one of the last couple of weeks, maybe you actually hold on to that red shirt and roll with Ricky. But we'll see it because at that point, like, do you want to move off of Ricky going into next year? I mean, we might have a whole other quarterback battle if things play out nicely the way you hope they do throughout the rest of the year. So just things to think about, no question about it. Final couple of notes between Syracuse and Clemson. Defense was awesome. This is now the 3rd week in a row I was really impressed by the defense. They gave up 24 to Colgate, and a lot of those guys were the second stringers. So I'm okay with it. After a week of digesting it, I'm okay with it. Second half against UConn, they allowed 6 points. They were the only reason they won that game. The offense got humming, of course, but offense didn't even have a shot unless the defense just kept getting stop after stop after stop after stop. Only allowed 6 points. 2 field goals the entire second half. Defense was absolutely lights out against Joe Fiano and the rest of that UConn offense. And then today, defense played huge. Played bigger than they are. They played like big boys. They played like a big boy defense today. And maybe I should stop saying bigger than they are because clearly Fran is, with the caliber of athlete that he's brought in, and the way that this team has showed up ready to play, clearly they are in that conversation now. When you've watched 22 years of Syracuse football that haven't looked like this, it almost feels like imposter syndrome in a way. But now the tides are shifting, and now Syracuse is inserting itself into a whole different conversation when you look at the landscape of the ACC. Last final thing before we let you go today is taking a peek at the rest of the schedule. Because I will challenge you to find a game that Syracuse doesn't have the capability to compete in. I'm not saying they're going to be favored in every game. That's not the case at all. But I challenge you to find a game that Syracuse doesn't have more than a fighter's chance. You get Duke at home. That looks like a game you should win now. Duke's 1-2. They're leading NC State right now in the 3rd quarter, 35-26 in Durham. Would be a nice win over an NC State team that's off to a 3-0 start. You get Duke at home. They're showing that they can score right now. Duke's known for a good defense, but their defense hasn't been great so far this season. So definitely a game to be on the lookout for. That's going to be at noon next week. Sell out in the Dome. At SMU. Not high on the Mustangs. Wasn't really coming into the year. Now they're off to a 2-2 start. They lost today to TCU. 35-24 was the final score of that one. That was at TCU. I think Syracuse might have a chance to be favored in that game. Doesn't matter if they are. They were 17.5-point underdogs at Clemson today. I think Fran likes it that way a little bit, honestly. I think he's better at motivating than maybe anybody in the country. Pittsburgh in the Dome. I think you're favored in that game. Pittsburgh's 2-1. Probably should have beat West Virginia last week, but didn't. At Georgia Tech. Okay, you're not going to be favored in that one. Going to have a shot. Clemson took Georgia Tech to the brink. North Carolina, you're going to be heavily favored in the Dome on Halloween night. At Miami and at Notre Dame, who knows what they look like at that point. Miami, I think, is a national championship contender. I'm seeing a real path here, real path to this team surpassing our preseason expectations. If I were to like go list by list and make predictions right now, I think they beat Duke, beat SMU, beat Pitt. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 consecutive wins. At Georgia Tech, okay, say you lose that one, so you're 6-2. Beat North Carolina 7-2. Lose to Miami and Notre Dame, even though I think they'd have a great shot to win those games and be competitive at least. They've proven last year that they could hang with Miami and beat them. And then Notre Dame, I don't know what to think of Notre Dame. They're very competitive. We'll see. So say you lose both of those games, you go from 7-2 to 7-4. Then you beat Boston College, 8-4. Say you pull off an upset, we're looking at 9-3 again? Guys, we'll see what Ricky looks like next week. It's all going to depend in a lot of ways on the performance of the quarterback, Ricky Collins, going forward. What a fun day. What a fun day. Can't thank you enough for hanging out with us. This was an absolute blast. We've been on the air since 10 a.m. Huge, huge props to the guys behind the scenes making the magic happen. Simply does not happen without them. Tim Becker, our awesome, awesome sound engineer here all day at Shaughnessy's Irish Pub. Paul McCoy behind the scenes. Jordan Capozzi behind the scenes. You guys rock. Couldn't do the show without you. Very, very appreciative for your efforts. For everybody, the staff here at Shaughnessy's, what a great time. Syracuse takes down Clemson in Death Valley. One more time, the final score in favor of the Orange, 34-21. They win at Memorial Stadium for the first time in program history, and the Cuse are rolling off to a 3-1 start in year 2 of the Fran Brown era. Signing so long for now, I'm Giovanni Heater. Thanks so much for hanging out with us on Cuse Sports Talk and ESPN Syracuse.
This is